Yo, this shit crazy. Oh shit. Let me see. Pop out screen. Okay, it's my first time doing this shit. Close. Chat. Talking. Talking. Business. Live. Let's see. Let me see. I'll share this shit. How do I share this shit? Wait, let's see. I can share it with X. Okay. Now what I'll do is, boom, I'll do this shit. Copy. And I'll send it to Vanessa. Let me see. Who in this bitch? Somebody in here? I don't see nobody. Or is that is me? Oh, it's two people. Oh, that's Jamie. Jamie, what's happening? I'm doing these fucking business talks on Fridays to talk about business. I don't know how to work this YouTube shit, so we're gonna see how it goes. To talk about the week, spend about probably like 20 minutes every Friday. Talk about all this type of shit that be going on in the day-to-day life when we're trying to like build a business. Hold on, I'm tweeting this shit. Business talks, business talk Fridays with Ty on YouTube. They're like the biggest things that I'm trying to accomplish with this type of oh, what up, boy? What up, Brian? What up, boy? You good? But like, there's a lot of stuff that when we're talking about fuck you money or you're talking about growth and business that don't really get covered on the show. And then it's not really it's not really like a back and forth like it would be for a um I gotta do a story or something. Let's see. That was a business. I think I spelled business wrong. Business talk Fridays live now. But add a link. So when I'm doing the fuck you money series and shit like that, it don't really have the same back and forth kind of dynamic that these elements of things can. And then it doesn't give people the opportunity to like ask questions in real time. Um, but it also don't give me the talk in real time because we are filming 24, 24 episodes a year, but like we just started filming season 3. So the stuff that we're talking about in season 3, we're talking about 2025, but we're filming it like today, right? And so I wanted to spend like 20 minutes a day talking about how the week been, what some of the things that I've been learning about ongoing business development, some of the things that I think could be very beneficial for people. Um, some of the self discovery as a businessman that I kind of like have figured out, and like just sharing that information because you get this stuff and you're living like these different experiences, but you don't really have people that'll be like, hey, you know what? If you really want to do this, you probably should think about it this way versus those individuals where you be hitting the motherfucking on Instagram. You want to make $100,000 a month? This is how I do it. Buy my ebook. In 30 days, you'll be making $10,000 a month. And if you keep buying my ebook, you'll make $100,000 in 6 months, so money back guaranteed. That type of shit, and not have no shit like that, right? So, and then the good thing about these, I think, once I hit in, people can go and kind of like revisit them, from those different perspectives to get those different things. So I'm 5 minutes in, been trying to figure out just a lot of this shit, and I promoted it a little bit. But the biggest thing that I've been like exploring this week is that there's a lot of equity um, plays that goes on where people are building a business and they're trying to figure out, how do I sustain, or how do I do these things while trying to grow? Like, how do I fund my dreams? Do I work a job? Do I take equity? Do I get a loan? Like, all of these different aspects of things, right? But this week, what's been hitting me is I had to call a few of my mentors, and I had to ask them, like, hey, I have people that want to like invest money into what I'm doing, right? But I don't really want nobody money in that way, right? I don't want their money to own a piece of my company, but I do want to combine some of my money with their money to go out and identify new opportunities that I can participate in. And so I was just asking them, like, man, am I thinking about this the right way? Because most people are like, I want to start a business and I'm gonna raise some capital and I'm gonna sell off some equity. But what we what we haven't been educated on is that there's quarterly reports you got to send out. There are, investor updates. You got to answer to somebody. You probably can't take as many risks. You know, your instincts. You probably can't bet on your instincts as much because now you got other people's money involved in your business, so you can't be as risky. You can find yourself getting pushed out of your business. There's a lot of things that we don't really get educated on when it comes to raising money. So, I was in Singapore last year with a mentor that he had invited me out, and it's so crazy that what I've learned about having resources that you can get more access because you can just show up places. You don't have to worry about nobody paying for nothing for you, right? So it's like, oh shit, you should come to Singapore. This thing is going on, and I'm like, send me the flight information, and I'll fly at the same time. But doing that trip outside of Singapore being incredible, if anybody hasn't been there, it doesn't matter how much money you want to take. If you could just get there, it's just a great city. But in that conversation, we was eating, and he was like, "Man, if I could start my business and do it over again, I'll self fund because when you got to talk to investors and you got to do all these different things, and that's not a good feeling, especially when you're not performing how you think you should perform that year over year because you're making big bets or you're too early to the industry that seems to be the industry that fits into your world. Just think about if you had a company talking about AI 15 years ago and you're trying to like convince people that AI is the next wave, and they don't believe it, but they've already invested into your business, and now you're kind of like at a stalemate, right? So I'm trying to avoid that with our overall company and like how we're going to diversify, inside of music and outside of music. But through that conversation with them, I was like, dang, I never thought about it like that. I was like, I want to sell a portion of the company to raise millions and millions of dollars. But I didn't, I was just thinking about it from a standpoint of I can take the money and I can go and invest and I can expand and I can give people opportunities. But then I started thinking, like, well, wait a minute, whoever I get this money from, if they not on the same page with me 100% of the time, there's going to be some level of conflict, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm glad he gave me that information. I need to rethink my strategy. I don't want to raise no money from nobody to buy equity in the company. Now it became more about, okay, how can I participate in certain things that I can utilize other people's money and I can add some of my money in. So it's like if somebody's like, hey, here go, we got $100,000 that we raised together, and we're gonna go make small investments of $10,000 into like startup companies. And I was able to put, 25,000 into the 100,000, right? So I can participate that way. I don't have no equity from my company. It's a new vehicle. This new vehicle is like, investment vehicle 12. And you're like, this vehicle, we're going to invest into 12 companies at $10,000 a pop. And we're going to see how that company grows, right? And I can like, okay, yeah, let me get into that because I don't have to relinquish any equity in my company to join a new vehicle, aka a new business, right? So when you hear the word vehicle in terms of like business, it's just a new LLC that people can utilize to raise money. It can go out and start a new venture or start a new business. And people usually do that so they can have a bunch of different people together. Like it's like a syndicate, right? You might hear it called a SPV, and they utilize it in tech world and like all of those different aspects of it. So if there's four people and now everybody has $50,000, and so four people put their $50,000 together, now they got 200,000, and their goal is to go out and spend no more than $10,000 into small startups. But then they may have another strategy where they're going to go buy $10,000 of like this new cryptocurrency that nobody knows about, but they believe in, right? Now, let's say investment company 12 has four shareholders. Each one of them owns, 25% of the company, and they each contribute $50,000 each, right? So now none of them had to relinquish any ownership from their company, their core company. Their core company has a 25% stake into that business. So now let's say year one, boom, 200,000, you invest 75,000 year one. Well, let's say 80,000 year one. And then year two, you invest, uh, you know, let's say 60,000, right? So now you got 80,000 year one, 60,000 year two of that you've invested into startup companies. So now that's what 120, 140. So you got 80 and 60. So you got 140. So now you got $60,000 left. Year three, y'all double down, you invest another six companies, right? So now at the end of year three, investment company 12 has um let's say 10 companies they've invested into. The 200,000 have been put into, the different vehicles. So now you're just monitoring those different platforms and those companies, and to see like, okay, what is this $20,000 going to do? And now you can take the company and you can say, hey team, like, do you all want to put some more money into, this particular investment? So the team can say, you know what, we got this one company and we created this fund under this company, which is investment fund 12. So now with this same company that we got 25% equity in, we can create a second fund that's going to say focus on, investing into women or diverse multicultural companies, right? So we're going to raise a second fund that now we each going to put another $50,000 in. So now each of us put another $50,000 in. That's 200,000, and we're going to have a very clean strategy. We're investing small checks, 10,000 to $25,000, and we got all different targets. We're going to focus on AI. So this second fund, it was all AI, right? The first fund was, consumer goods. The second fund is AI. So now for your friends, you're in year four now because you started year one, two, three with your first fund. Now you're beginning year four, and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna get a second fund. We're gonna get together, we're gonna build our business together. Now we're gonna invest into six more companies with this other 200,000. Now you got I can't remember how many companies in the first thing, but they just say for the sake of the conversation, 12. So you got 12 companies in the first fund, you got six companies in the second fund. The goal for this type of strategy is that one of those companies you want to 10x or 20x, or if it becomes a unicorn, you can unicorn it. But even if it's 2x, right? If you got 12 investments and you spent, you know, $200,000, and out of your 12 investments, you got 10 of them that all you put, let's say on an average of $10,000 in them, so that's 100,000, whatever the case might be. And each one of those investments do a 2x, right? So that means that $20,000 profit from those 10 companies. So you got your 10,000 back, then you got a 2x. So that's 200,000, right? What is 100,000 times? Yeah, so that's 200,000 in profits. So you got your 100,000 that you already got. You got 200,000 in profits. Boom, you drop that money down, and now the company is breaking down 25% from the first fund, right? Those funds exited, or they went private. I mean, they went public, or somebody acquired it, or it went public, right? Or it's just a generating income generator where it's just paying dividends. Those are ways that I'm learning income generator where it's just paying dividends. Those are ways that I'm learning how you can still get new money, have a certain level of involvement into a new vehicle. Um, it's some side cart revenue. It's not the thing that is, I guess you would say, your main thing. So your main thing might be the music, and you don't want people to, like, have any equity in your music company. But then your side thing might be live events. So you might say, man, we can raise some money. I don't want to sell none of my company, and I don't want you to have no equity in my company. I don't want no equity in your company. So what we can do is just put our money together, and then we can go out and do a concert, do a new company, live entertainment 12. You own 50%, I own 50%. My company own 50%, your company own 50%. We're gonna put the money up, we're gonna go do shows. And if this grows to be another business that's profitable, you can sell that. You sell that because it's not your core business. And so this week has been a very interesting week about, your core businesses and how to, attack those, and how to look at those in a more effective way so that you can, you know, figure out what your strategy is going to be when you're trying to raise money for your company. And it gives you a certain level of understanding and insight for you to be like, okay, if I'm gonna raise $100,000 and I'm willing to sell 5% of my company, I just know that I have to report out to investors. Or I can say, let me just work my ass off, save up, find different ways to kind of like do the same exact thing. Rather, that's like get a line of credit that you can get some pull cash off of, that you can put your 25,000, which means that you got to have a good credit score so that you can even convince the bank that to give you $100,000 line of credit, right? So your $100,000 line of credit, you can send 50,000 to this new company so that you can goddamn do your new shit, invest into that, and then you can pay that $50,000 down over time, right? It's a line of credit. You pay on it monthly. You can pay different amounts, things of that nature. But that was one of the things that really stuck out to me this week. When I'm walking through the business and trying to figure out, is this something that I want to do, or is this something that makes sense for our company to grow. How fast am I trying to grow? Because that is another thing that gives you a certain level of like understanding. Um, to be like, dang, man, that's kind of like crazy. You know what I'm saying? How does that work from a branding perspective? Do you feel like brand equity is decreased because you have many entities under different names, considering it's a consumer facing brand? Well, that's a great question, Brian. Like, I'm only speaking about making money, right? I'm not really speaking about the brand. Like, my brand of my company is going to be the brand of my company, right? But when I want to create sidecar income, I might be invested into an underwear brand that nobody knows about, but it's a portfolio company that I have. And if that company sells, or if that company does well, and I was an early investor, I can take that money and I can invest back into making my main thing stronger, right? But I don't think every investment should be a consumer facing brand. That, like, what I mean by that is you should not be out promoting every single thing that you invest into, because it can be a bit distracting and it'll feel like you're all over the place. I'm more so just speaking from a standpoint of I have ideas and I want to get these ideas out in the world, but I don't want to personally sacrifice equity in my company. So let me utilize some of the additional extra revenue that we might have as a company to find other investors that want to do something new too. And it might be something that's in their vein, that's their company, but I just got an idea and I don't want a new idea that I may not want to invest a whole 100,000. I might just want to invest 20% of it to be a part of the idea while leaving the company that we spent the last 10 years building unscathed and just owned by the original founders. And so that way I can have more control over how the company treats the staff, how the company, treats the clients, how the company oversees their fundings and their finances. And then it makes you slow down because, sometimes you can raise too much money, make an extra million to reinvest without having to divest your core company. Exactly. That's the that has been my week. My week has been sitting down thinking about that. I had to travel to New York for the billboard stuff. Then I had to travel. I came back to Miami. And so throughout the week, I met with a few people when I was in New York. And so it's just been on top of my brain. Like, man, this feels like it is something that people should know about, because, man, you don't never know. You might sell your company to the wrong person, and then next thing you know, you got them in your ecosystem, and now you can't get them motherfuckers out. You know, and so for me, I don't want to make that mistake, because you have the opportunity and the faith and the favor to create multiple successful companies, but I'm not just talking about a multiple successful companies. I'm talking about something that means something to me, something that I feel like is going to mean something to people in the generation from now. So I don't want to bring the wrong energy into it because they just had some money, versus a new venture. Everybody's on equal playing field. Ain't nobody did anything. Everybody just showed with their money and their ideas. And if we grow it into a big company or a big, investment, something, and if you don't like the people, you can just sell your shares, and your main thing is your main thing. So that's that's pretty much what I had today. I went over by 3, 4 minutes just to make sure I answered any question that was there. But this is my first time doing this live stream shit. So I'm assuming once I hit end screen, it's gonna automatically populate into the playlist. And then the playlist will be there for everybody that did not get a chance to check it out. I appreciate all 8 people that are here. Um, that's checking in, trying to get some more information and learning experiences, and I'm learning as well. So I'm just sharing the information as it comes to me, or as it comes to like my thought process. So I'll try to do these like every Friday, But rather I'm traveling, I can always pull my computer out. I always got Wi-Fi for the most part. I will be traveling on next Friday, but I think I'll be able to knock it out before I start traveling, or I can do it once I land. So you all have a great Friday. Um, stay positive, work hard. You know, okay. Let me see. As a producer, how should I go about the music business? Man, my brother, it feels like a loaded question. As a producer, in my opinion, if I was a producer, I'll put out beats quarterly. I'll put my own beats out. I'll promote my beats on streaming, on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. I'll work with. I'll go down Spotify's like fresh find list, and I'll fresh finds R&B. If you do R&B music, I go fresh find R&B, and I'll go look at all of the artists that they're supporting, and I'll start reaching out to them. I'll start sending them beats for free. You know, I'll make it so that they feel so comfortable putting my beats out, and I'll ask for trade-offs. I'll be like, hey man, I give you this beat. You don't got to pay for it. But if you can give me a verse, because I'm about to put my album out, and then you can tell them I'm gonna put it out on Stem or DistroKid, and I'll give you a splits with you. That's where I think producers kind of like miss the market. You want to get as many records out as possible with as many artists that you like as possible, because you never know when those artists are gonna blow up, and you want to be able to have trade-offs. So if you produce a beat for the artist, you want to ask the artist, hey man, do you mind giving me a verse? Or can I use one of the songs that you're not using for my producer project, so that you can start making money on the streaming side as well, and not just solely dependent on your publishing side. So if I was a producer, that's what I would do. I would be putting out records like I'm an artist. Every time, you know, I don't give a fuck if only, like right now it's only 7 people watching this shit. You know, that's not gonna be the reason why I keep doing it or not do it. I'm gonna keep doing it if I'm inspired to do it. And I want to get people information. And this is like the quickest way to get information without getting drained trying to meet with so many people that's reaching out. So, but yeah, Simbo, that's what I would do if I was a producer trying to figure out the music business. I build my catalog. But once again, man, I'll be back next Friday. Um, you know, if you got comments, you can keep leaving your comments on this video. It'll pop up in our playlist. And then, you know, from there, I'll be able to look at certain questions before I start. But every Friday, I'm gonna try to have something that I've identified during the week that I feel like can be very beneficial for other entrepreneurs that's trying to build and grow. And I'll be coming from France next week. So I have a lot of stuff where I think I'll be talking about like my experience in this program that I signed up for while I be in France. So you all have a great weekend once again, and I'm out.